Hey everyone, welcome to the Crazy Amazing Humans podcast, where we highlight everyday humans doing crazy amazing things. People just like you and me who utilize their time, talents, and resources to make the world a better place. I'm Katrina Carlson.
And I'm Jefferson Denham. And we want to thank you so much for joining us from wherever you are on this crazy amazing planet. We believe it is more important than ever to stay connected, stay positive, and stay active. And if you agree, you are in the right place.
Absolutely, I agree.
Okay, so wait a second now, Katrina, and crazy amazing community. Today is a unique episode. I'm so excited. Can you tell? Katrina was asked to attend the Montgomery Summit presented by March Capital. So this summit is a premier tech conference that brings together entrepreneurs, investors, and leading executives to discover new business innovations and technologies. Well, as a culmination of this summit, Katrina, you were invited to do something very special, weren't you?
Yes, Jefferson, thank you for that. It was such an honor to be invited by the folks at Montgomery Summit and March Capital to take our Crazy Amazing Humans podcast on the road. And do a live interview with the creator of the Montgomery Summit, Jamie Montgomery. He is a crazy amazing human, and it was such a fabulous opportunity to interview someone who approaches philanthropy with an entrepreneurial mindset. It was absolutely fascinating, and I personally learned a ton. So you all are, in my humble opinion, in for a major treat.
Oh, and in my humble opinion, I also absolutely agree. So let's get right to this conversation. We truly appreciate you. And we want to remind you that you are crazy amazing.
I want you to feel, I want you to feel something crazy, crazy amazing.
Hi, this is Shirin Yadigar, and you're listening to Crazy Amazing Humans podcast with Katrina Carlson and Jefferson Denham.
Welcome to the Montgomery Summit. It's the 19th annual, and it's 2022, and we're all here and live, so this is wonderful. So we're so glad to see all your happy faces in the audience and so many familiar ones. I'm Katrina Carlson, as you heard. I'm the creator and the founder of Crazy Amazing Humans podcast, and I am so excited to delve into this story of this amazing human next to me who has an amazing journey and an amazing story, and we're going to just jump into that right now. So
excellent.
Thank you, Jamie Montgomery, everybody.
All right.
I think we're all familiar. So yes, thank you. Jamie, welcome to your own summit.
Wow. I feel like I'm at my own bar mitzvah. Let's go for it.
So Jamie, you've had a well-established history advising and financing leading technology companies.
That was too much work.
Yes, before you even started March Capital, right? And so now you've built a multi-billion-dollar investment platform to invest in technology companies. Congratulations. That's amazing. So starting there, I want to give a little more background for the podcast and for you all in the audience. We're going to find a lot of things that you don't know about Jamie, and some you might. But you're the co-founder and managing partner of March Capital. You invest and serve on the board of many prominent technology companies. You lead the day-to-day operations of this growing firm, and you provide the leadership for March Capital's community engagement and philanthropic programs. So previously, you were founder and CEO of Montgomery & Company, the LA-based investment bank that you founded, and where you advise and mentored entrepreneurs, and I love these numbers. Wait till you hear this. Entrepreneurs from over 500 companies, you financed over 200 companies, and you took approximately 40 companies public. I mean, let's hear it for that. Jamie, you're crazy amazing. So not only are you a leader in the VC world, you have provided leadership to a series of philanthropic causes over the years, both personally and through your companies. And on top of all of that, we all know he is the founder and host of the Montgomery Summit that we're all attending here today. It's just yet another way that you generously and authentically create community and connection, and you empower people. And it's really true, and that's what I really feel you do, is you empower people.
Thank you.
So thank you for doing that. So now that we have established that you're a serial underachiever.
Rather than a serial killer.
Let's dive into perhaps what not a lot of people know about you. Can you tell us a little bit about how you grew up?
Well, thanks for being here and listening to this. Thank you for those very kind opening comments. I grew up in suburb, kind of a rural suburb of Seattle, Washington, Bellevue, Washington. A big family. I'm youngest of 6 boys. Parents had both been in the Canadian Navy during the war. Mom was an intelligence officer and kind of, ran a tight ship, as they say. My father was a rocket scientist. He has a PhD at Caltech, and
Wow.
it was very new, very much a traditional 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s type family structure with family dinners, conversations, a lot of open house, lots of visitors, guests, extended family holidays, God, country, family. My father ran the strategic nuclear weapons during the Kennedy administration,
Wow.
One day I didn't go to church. I had to work 8 hours in the garden, so I thought it was cheaper to go to church, easier to go to church after that. It was it's a very structured, and I think you think that's normal, and that was normal for me. The big family, we moved to Los Angeles in 1974, and we came to this hotel, and it was
this hotel?
Yeah, to Fairmont,
Wow.
Sheraton at the time, and Sheraton Miramar, and there was actually a Vietnamese restaurant over there. We had lunch at. It was kind of funny. But I remember the palm trees and the Morton Bay fig. I'd never seen anything like it in my life, And I didn't realize, I thought California would be like Hawaii, tropical, but it was warm, but kind of a desert. And I was just struck by the beauty of this place. So to be able to come back, through the years and be in this room and have the Beach Boys play and the Eagles play and whatnot. It was
Right, and so you were going to high school here, right?
Yeah, Palisades High.
Okay, so if I say the word fire extinguisher, what does that conjure up?
I've been talking to somebody. In high school, you're sort of, you work at, the liquor store, or, there was the feed bag up the street where Arnold used to come and, have 12-egg omelets, working there, and, and the normal crazy stuff you do as a high school student. And friend's dad said, hey, there's all the offices in Century City and LA need to have a fire extinguisher. They have a cooking plate, a hot plate. And then his wife, mom said, wow, yeah, and all the houses that sold need a smoke detector. So we had the brilliant idea that we went out, went to Granger, WW Granger in East LA, and loaded up on fire extinguishers and smoke detectors and went and sold them, made a pile of money one summer. My mom was away, and I certainly gave out my home number. I went off to college, and people started calling because they needed service on fire extinguishers. So I kind of lost her sense of humor. I didn't realize these things had to be recharged, and smoke detectors weren't working.
And you had like a guarantee behind these? Did you have
not
to
at
circle
all.
back?
So, yeah, my partner was kind of unreliable, so came back at Christmas and tried to fix the damage. But anyway, that was my first business. I was like 17 years old. It was fun.
Yeah, that's
It wasn't well thought through.
Right?
We did the original AV testing. Now people talk about AV testing, try this or that. And one day we had a bet, if we dressed in all red, how much more could we sell? Actually,
We're
worked pretty well.
firefighters.
You looked like a total goose, but we sold a lot of fire extinguishers that day.
That's amazing. Well, it sounds like you were really on fire from a young age.
Oh, yeah, that hurts. But it was sort of like, but you think about it, we went to the State Board of Equalization and got a business reselling license. It was a real learning experience.
Yeah.
You start realizing how invasive the state is after they start coming after you for taxes and stuff.
Well, it sounds like you knew what you were getting into, too,
Not
right?
really, I had no idea. It was fun, though.
In California, and you got your first taste of, okay, this is the way I'm going to do business here.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah. I mean, we went to these huge buildings in Century City, and they're like, well, can we buy it for all like 40 floors? I'm like, sure,
Wow.
I was just wanting to get my parking validated because it was so expensive, But anyway, we had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, I know, and you got a pretty significant education.
Yeah, I was at University of California, San Diego, which was great, and then fortunate to study abroad a few times, and graduate at Cambridge, where Annabelle and I met when we were in England. I was up at Cambridge, she was in London, and then, look, Cambridge was a real eye-opener. I was working for the Defense Department while I was at Cambridge, and then I went in-house in the Pentagon and worked in the intelligence world, my first job out of Cambridge. And I was thinking about going to law school, but I'm 23 and I had 3 degrees, and I was like, I don't think I was a great student. I just was kind of getting through it quickly.
Yeah.
And why would I want to go to law school? So then ended up wanting to work in technology and finance. And that's where I kind of ended up.
Wow, that's amazing. You got there pretty quickly, especially back, back in the
It seemed like forever, that 6 months. I got all these rejection letters from Wall Street, so I kept them.
Okay, good.
It was like having a voodoo doll to stick pins in later in life.
You needed that. You needed to have that. That's
beat
important.
up on these poor bankers at organization meetings. I'm taking out. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Now here we are at this crazy. We're here at this Crazy Amazing Human podcast, and we celebrate stories of people who utilize their time and their talents and their resources to give back, pay it forward, and make the world a better place, right? So you do fit all three of those boxes, and we're going to go into some of those things.
Well, let's talk about, you asked about early, and one of my first experiences as a kid is my mom would make egg sandwiches every Friday morning. So I'd wake up the smell of 12 dozen eggs being boiled. I cannot eat an egg salad sandwich, but I'm sure they're really good. But so every week growing up, and she would go down and feed at a homeless shelter or a service center in Seattle every Friday. And it was these habits that you see from your parents, even in their 80s, they were doing this, one Sunday a month, our kids would go along with us and feed the homeless in Santa Monica.
That is
so from a very young age, it was kind of
you had it modeled for you.
And it's sort of like it was normal.
Well, you've definitely continued it, and I just want to kind of dig in and discuss your deep and wide engagement with higher learning through hands-on leadership and spearheading campaigns that support schools and universities. And I'm going to name a few for our audience in case we miss some, just so you know what Jamie's been involved with. So UC San Diego, Claremont McKenna College, USC, Stanford and Chapman University, as well as he's overseen and chaired very significant campaigns for the Westmark School, the Brentwood School, and St. Matthew's School. And you're currently vice chair of the $3 billion capital campaign for UC San Diego. So Jamie, tell us how and why you developed a passion for supporting education.
Well, I think the why, I think we probably all share. I think an education is a great pathway to having a more rewarding life and career and all different attributes associated with that. The why, the how, and a little more complicated. I think it's a muscle that that has been built over about 30 years of doing it and being quite intentional. I oftentimes what we try and do is something that's what we call transformational. And in our life, we'd like to do things other people can't do or won't do. And sometimes they won't do it because they're nervous about doing it or they don't think of it and can't do it, or they maybe don't have the resources. But the key is the leadership side. I mean, the numbers are big. Well, we've just hit our $3 billion target at UCSD. The original target was $2 billion, but we went to 3. And Westmark was a great example where the key thing is is really understanding what your goal is. And at Westmark, we wanted to build the best school in the world with kids with dyslexia, or kids with dyslexia. And once we set a goal like that, everything else fell into shape.
You really broke down barriers that were there for kids who learn differently. And in this specific case, it was language-based learning differences. And you actually got the Westmark School accredited with the California Association. That was something that they said, oh, we don't do this for that kind of school. And you helped them come up with a whole new way.
I said that was a wrong answer.
Yes.
Well, sometimes you have to just change the perspective of how someone looks at something. Like, I remember going off to university and this fellow saying, well, we don't know if you can admit this sort of person. It was, our admissions department. And I told the president of the university, he was here this morning, James Doty. I said, well, you should just change the name of your department from admissions to denials. Right? I mean, it's like,
that is hilarious.
If you want to deny 95% of the people who come in, great, just change the name of the place, right?
Funny.
And then they started to think, wow, you're right, and we need to, we need a little more
I'll say
diversity.
Entrepreneurial mindset. How about because that's what you have. An entrepreneur is just going to change.
Well, there's a certain irony and humor will break down, and I think in some of these cases it's about having a message. At UCSD, we wanted to build one of the top research universities in the world. We've accomplished that. At Chapman, we had certain goals, and St. Matthew's are very. When we talk about a capital campaign for a church, we don't talk about the church. There's no talk about religion. It's about how are we going to bring youth into a program that will really develop their character? And how do we bring more families in so their youth can benefit from that? And how do we restore the buildings and grounds and ensure our future by having more leadership and an endowment? And no one can argue with any of those points, right?
Absolutely.
So you have to figure out what's a narrative that everyone can relate to and then tie the program to that. Because sometimes some of these narratives just aren't aspirational enough. People like a big idea. And we've been able to overachieve on every campaign just by having having a compelling narrative is super important in business. You know, the companies here, they all have for the most part, everyone has a compelling narrative. And you have to have that in philanthropy as well. And sometimes a person running a not-for-profit is incredibly empathetic, he or she, and talented and experienced, but they struggle to have the ability to, deliver a halo message, a compelling narrative. And so if you can help them and partner with them to do that, and then provide them the resources to scale up their program, and we've done that in Santa Monica, addressing homelessness and hunger. We've done it with a number of charities, and then bringing our resources together, not just our capital, which is one aspect, but it's our network that we have of other people, and people kind of, for whatever reason, feel like we really know what we're doing because we've had so many successes and will follow us. If we give a gift, people will.
Because I want to say, because you're a visionary leader and you're one of those people and you can see it and you can come up with new ideas with that. And as that, speaking of you being a visionary leader, I wanted to also share with everyone, because Jamie, I've kind of been trying to tell you this. He rolls up his sleeves and he gets his hands dirty. And as this kind of leader, I really saw this in something in the Boy Scouts of America.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say, how many Eagle Scouts do you have in your family?
Oh, we have 3 boys. They're here, and our daughter has 2 of them here, Charlie and Lachlan, and your son and daughter, Katrina's daughter Ruby, was one of the first Eagle Scouts, female Eagle Scouts, and our daughter,
and then your daughter
Sky had the Girl Scout Gold Award, and which is sort of
that's very impressive.
Yeah,
that's amazing. So you went on campouts. You were assistant scout master. You went on high adventure hikes.
Yeah.
You
top merit badges.
And you helped so many Eagles. You mentored, helped them become
probably
Eagle
300
Scouts.
Eagle Scouts. Yeah.
Yes.
So I got the highest award in scouting, which is
incredible.
unfortunately called the Silver Beaver Award, which people laugh about. It's a really awkward event.
Silver Beaver!
Yeah, Silver Beaver, hey, add it to the list. But the key thing is that, it's just these kids are now adults. I bump into them every week, and kids I coached in soccer or baseball or were an Eagle Scout. So there are certain leadership and ethical standards you see in the scouting, which is so important, for individuals to have and for the community to have. And it was a great program. We created one of the leading camps in America over at Emerald Bay, which your kids have been to.
Amazing.
But again, that was about providing some leadership and a vision for what we could do and inspiring others. We had people have talent, but we had one fellow who was a great guy. I said, really need you to help lead the project for a new dock, because without the dock, we wouldn't have the transport. And we had all these, hosted a bunch of scout children of the Marine Corps, and we're having a meeting, and the big expense for us was getting this cement truck.
Over to Catalina
and so the Marine
said,
the Marine said, hey, Jamie, we got it. Just deliver it to Pendleton. And they drove it over there on a training mission, drove it up on the beach. Now, we never got it back. It's still there. But anyway.
Oh, my goodness,
but that was going to cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars to ship this cement. And the Marines just said, hey, we'll do that for you, Jamie. We got it. And I think sometimes when you set some aspirational goals and you explain to people what you want to do and why you want to do it, people will find a way to support it.
Yes.
And it could be small gifts, large gifts. And at Chapman, we expanded the network for the president. And former president was here today. The current president was here yesterday. And this place is much different after we left.
Absolutely. You opened it up.
Engineering school and a new science building.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the case everywhere we've been.
So
just trying to do something a little better than it was when we got there.
Absolutely. I think you're leaving the whole world a better place than when you got here.
Yeah.
And we want to thank you for that, because here we are at the summit here.
Yeah.
And It's 2022, presented by March Capital. And your philanthropy at March Capital is focused on community building, and you focus on philanthropy. What does that mean for the people here in the audience, for a company's brand and culture?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think the culture is probably the most important one. We're very fortunate, and we were able to give back. We take 1% of our profits and put it back in the March Capital Foundation, and obviously we do a lot more on top of that, but that has the whole firm involved, and so they volunteer and provide leadership, and you realize there's something bigger than just oneself, and I think it ties those who engage in it together. The brand, that's a hard one for me to judge because I'm in the middle of it. I would say that we have generated billions of dollars of profits for our investors, and the number one use of proceeds for them is philanthropy.
Wow.
So there's major giving into hospitals, medical research, education, and whatnot. That's derived. Many of our companies have set up foundations, so there's actually a huge multiplier effect. Many of our investors were people I originally met through philanthropy. The important thing is to build trusted relationships, and people watch what you do as stewards of their capital. If you're running a campaign and you build something, you do what you say you're going to do, and then when you manage your money, do you do what you say you're going to do? And I think the consistency of communications, transparency, integrity and those things come through. And we're not very transactional. I mean, we're just very relationship driven.
Yes, you are.
And that's part of our culture, and hopefully part of our brand. And I'll let everyone else judge it. You can judge our brand. I mean, and the summit's all about bringing the community together. We have a lot of young entrepreneurs. For years, we ran a big women's program. We folded it into the main program this year. We built it up, then merged it in, which I think worked out really beautifully. But we're always trying to kind of see where we can bring more diversity into the innovation economy. Programs, Charlie, our son, set up at Claremont McKenna are now the largest programs on campus at the 5 Cs. And now about half the women students up there, up by a factor of 10, are, when they graduate, going to the innovation economy. It used to be a much smaller number. We're encouraging that. So there's various things you can do that have multiplier effects.
Yes, and you've done so many of them, and you really know how to rally people. You've been quoted, people have quoted me that you're the kind of guy that no one wants to say no to, that you're the person they want to say yes to, that you're a cheerleader, you're just unabashed cheerleader, and you do that in your business and in your philanthropy. And you also bring that kind of entrepreneurial mindset that brings a new perspective to everything you do. So do you want to talk a little bit to that?
Well, yeah, look, I think it should be fun what we do. I mean, there's enough problems in the world, and you get people together, you want to think, what can we do that's meaningful and useful? And I know Pradeep is here, and from UCSD, and it's like, how do you get people excited to do something, and really make a difference and make people feel good about what they're doing? And then, and one of the things I learned early on is, a lot I learned early on, and this is a real science to do what we do here, but it's, at a university, it's like 20 years between a first gift and a major gift. And, some places it's at least 5 years, probably 10 years. So you really have to take the long road, right?
Yeah. And
make them feel, you're not going to go, it's not like a transaction, you go get a donation, you move on. No, you're building a relationship, and it becomes embedded in the DNA. And so what we've helped a lot of organizations do is really, transform how they think about their organizations. Well,
you're so good at that at UCSD that you actually were the 2022 alumni honoree and received the Changemaker Award.
From the Chancellor,
and
yeah.
Changemaker is such a great word, we know about disruptors and all that, but making some changes for the better for people. That's what you do.
Yeah, what does
that mean to you, that change?
Well, 40. I was there with my high school friend, college roommate, and he says, "Did you ever think you'd be here?" And I thought I'd be here, but I thought you'd be getting the reward, not me. And he's a great. Dan Rudnick's was a fantastic scholar. He's a PhD and faculty member down there. And so no, it's great. I got a lot out of UCSD and.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about something you started there with your beautiful wife's name, Annabelle?
Oh, yeah, this is kind of fun.
Obviously, let's just put our hands together for Annabelle, because she is the woman behind everything. Yeah. Thank you, Annabelle.
Yeah.
And I think she got something named.
Well, yeah. Well,
I
you
mean,
know, it was. We were touring with the chancellor last summer, and we were visiting, you know, the Design Innovation Building and some art projects that we've been supporting. And then we went to this new craft center, which is just fantastic down there. And I asked her, which, you know, do you like, you know, the pottery or the surfboard shaping or the jewelry? And I had the good sense to ask. Usually I don't ask, you know. So, but I, you know, and she said, I like the kitchen. I said, okay. So I said, well, that's so pretty. Well, let's do the kitchen. And they gave me this long name, you know, James and Annabelle Montgomery Test Kitchen or something. Oh, that sounds kind of crazy. Well, we just call it Annabelle's Kitchen. And it's really cute. So we're teaching kids how to cook 3 or 4 nights a week, and they'll come in, a couple dozen kids at a time, and we'll pay for the whole thing. Well, they'll learn how to cook a healthy meal for under $5 of ingredients. They don't have to pay the $5, but they would take the recipe with them and cook later. It would cost them under that. And we have, you know, we'll have thousands of kids a year, you know, cook, and it's fun too. And I you know, I was going to get around to telling her, and they had the name up already, and it was our anniversary, so I had to get her a present anyway.
Yeah,
so.
that's a very
but anyway,
nice
Annabelle's
so
a terrific sport.
You know, I love that.
You know, I could have bought a bracelet, would have been cheaper, obviously, but yeah. But I mean, and then we go look at the kitchen later, and oh Jesus, you know, we got to redo the kitchen, you know, and then we got to pay for the coaches. Anyway, this is a gift that keeps giving. But we think it's a great idea, and it's fantastic.
Well,
you know, I mean, not everything is exactly perfectly thought out, as you can tell. And, you know.
But you go from something like Annabelle's Kitchen to, you know, bringing 5 Afghani women.
Well, that was kind of cute. You asked, how do you come up? My daughter says, Dad, this terrible what's happening to women in Afghanistan. And it was totally right. And, you know, we have to do something. So we went for a beach walk. I asked Annabelle, this guy brought this up, and what do you think? And she, I heard about these Afghan girls robotics team. And okay, you know, so I Googled them and then reached out, you know, Tony Blair, a few other, you know, find these girls in these camps. So I called Chapman president, hey, why don't we get these Afghan girls, you know, over to Chapman and study STEM engineering? We'll give them scholarships. That's crazy. It's like 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning. What the hell, you know? He calls me an hour later, Jamie, that's a brilliant idea.
Oh, I love it.
You know?
You have a lot of brilliant ideas.
But he said, but first we have to bring these 5 scholars out. They're graduates. They're over there. They're stuck there. And I go, well, I really want to do the Afghan girls robotics team, but I'll pay for that just so we get to the next ones. So what we did was the first step was to get these 5 women out. They were doing human rights work and various work. And so we brought them back to Orange and took care of that. And then, that was just a precursor to the real thing, which is the girls. So
I love that.
And hopefully next year, not this coming the fall year, we'll have some there in the STEM program at Chapman.
Phenomenal.
But anyway, so again, you know, it just kind of comes to you sometimes, you know.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up because our time's out, but I want to know, is there anything you want, any words of wisdom you want to impart on this beautiful group, these crazy, amazing people in the audience? We've been here a couple days. It's been an amazing experience.
Well, look, 2 things. One is it's a community, and I thank all of you here and outside listening and elsewhere for being part of the community and bringing your own time and talent to us and sharing your stories with us. It's, you know, the stars of the show are really the entrepreneurs that go out and build businesses. And we, you know, from 18 years ago, our first summit, we had the Facebook company here. The following year, we had Twitter. And now the second thing I'd like to say is Catherine Kaleo is retiring, and I'd like to thank her for her 19 years of dedication
Catherine,
to the summit.
You stand up. There she is. She's back there. Catherine.
And,
awesome.
You know, she joined us out of UCLA, and about 6 months into it, I said, we're going to go do a summit. And here,
wow.
19 summits later, she's calling it a day to spend time with her 2 kids and her husband's growing business. So we thank you, Catherine, for all those years of service. And, you know, look, there's a big team that put this together this year, and Shannon, Megan, Amara, my son Lachlan's been working out this year, all throughout our organization. You know, Adele's an incredible job curating the companies. We have Tani and her team. We had 85 people here this weekend doing the setup. Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
And you know, but all the people travel from all over the world, from India, from Bahrain, from Saudi, from Australia, from throughout Europe, South America. They're all here. So everyone who kind of got on a plane and flew hours to be here. We thank you, and we just hope we'll hope to see you next year back here. And,
absolutely, and big thanks to everyone at Montgomery Summit. Big thanks to everybody here. And
thank you.
Especially big thanks, Jamie Montgomery, you are crazy amazing.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
I want you to feel, I want you to feel something crazy, crazy, amazing.
So that's our show. A huge thanks to Jamie Montgomery and everyone at the Montgomery Summit and March Capital. It was an absolute honor to be part of the event and to do a live podcast. And as always, if you've enjoyed today's episode and you think it would be meaningful and helpful to someone you know, please be crazy amazing and let them know about us.
Yes, please. And if this is your very first time with us, we want to remind you to make sure to subscribe to the Crazy Amazing Humans podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. We've also filmed the podcasts, so you can check us out on the Crazy Amazing Humans YouTube channel. Make sure and leave comments because we love to hear what you're thinking.
Yes, we do, Jefferson. And most of all, we want to make sure to thank you for being with us. Remember that every little kindness has the potential to create crazy, amazing human experiences, one person at a time.
Absolutely. So this week, we want to encourage you to find one thing that you can do to extend kindness and love in the world. I'm Jefferson Denham.
And I'm Katrina Carlson. Stay healthy, stay connected, and we will see you next time right here on the Crazy Amazing Humans podcast.
I want you to feel, I want you to feel something crazy, crazy, amazing.
If you have any questions or comments about today's episode, please make sure to write us at crazyamazinghumans@gmail.com.